How's it, everybody? This is the Erroneous One here with the new Kingdom Hearts Union Cross video, and today we're talking about something that's been brought up more and more lately. Well, up to a point for the most part, you know. And it's PvP. PvP is interesting. Is an interesting aspect of the game. PvP is, honestly enough, what's becoming the center focus of this game. It's like Cena chose like what's the main idea to keep players engaged in it for the most part, beyond just like what little story updates we've been getting, which they need to, you know, get on that so we can finish it off. And then of course decide where they're going to go with the game afterwards. It has been mentioned in ways that the game will keep on going. There is stuff for them to do in the game beyond Kingdom Hearts 3, which is, I mean, that's good in terms of the life of the game, which is glad. I mean, people who've been playing it and have been enjoying it, of course, want to see it keep on going. And people who put money into it, like myself and others, you know, want to keep it going because, you know, we've invested in it. So, you know, the longer it goes around, then the better for that kind of thing. But the main goal of it now has been like PvP, you know, and PvP is becoming a huge thing in a lot of games, you know, in various formats. There's like, of course, there's Battle Royale. There is Black Ops 4 Battle Royale. There is, of course, Apex Legends now out there. There's Fortnite, which I never really got into Fortnite for the most part. It never really appealed to me. I mean, Fortnite's a strange thing. It's like a mix of like Minecraft and Battle Royale. And for some reason, that just never clicked with me, and I never really got into it. But there are like many Battle Royale games out there. And on top of that, there were the precursors to PvP games from the mobile side, like Clash of Clans and the Airstrike game, I think it was. You know, there have been games like that that have been out there prior to, or at least on the mobile side, prior to becoming more involved. You know, more things like PUBG and PUBG Mobile now with their Battle Royale mode. If you guys watch Metalcore, he was really big into rules of survival until, like, you know, hackers kind of like destroyed the game, unfortunately. But that kind of thing, it's been increasing and increasing, and the shift of a lot of games in a lot of ways is PvP in a lot of aspects. So of course, you know, Cena's going like, you know, what can we do to get the most money? PvP. That's what's kind of going out into the game circulation. That's kind of what's out there in terms of catching players' attention. That's what players are wanting to do a lot more and everything. So it's PvP. Now, in the form of a gacha game, of course, PvP, you're going to do better in it if you pay to win. Same thing with any of the events. It's pay to win. You know, you do the best, or you get through events and such and quests easier with the better medals you have, which of course you mainly get by, of course, purchasing them. That is the nature of a gacha game. That is what gacha is. So anybody who gets involved in these games and it's a gacha game, you need to understand that and try not to get so upset when people who spend money in the game get more things fast and everything. I mean, I do get it. They need to kind of like balance it out. And balancing that is very delicate. It's a very fine wire between how do we get players who don't spend money in the game but do support the game by being on it and playing it and everything, and maybe every now and then dropping some money to get a few things, like maybe a few avatar boards or a pull or two. But how do we balance the game from people who are free to play or casual to play, however you want to define yourself as, and then people who pay to play? Again, the people who pay in this game are nowhere near as numerous as the people who do not. You know, even casual players who only put a little money here and there are greater than the people who put money into the game on a consistent basis. So then there is that. So they kind of have to, like, you know, look at the people who are supporting the game, and by supporting the game, I mean they're putting money into the game to keep it going, to keep the servers going, to keep it updated, to keep the dev team still making things. This game wouldn't keep on going if people weren't paying and putting money into it. And then, of course, their larger audience, being the free-to-play players and everything, who also had their share. The game also would not be around if there were none of you guys around playing the game. If there were no free-to-play players, the game wouldn't be here. It wouldn't matter if, like, you know, like what? Out of the... What did they say? I think I forget the numbers. The numbers for the game playing greatly increased when KH3 came out, which is obvious. You know, that was going to happen. People were going to get interested in this game who may never have heard of it before and start playing it when KH3 came about, as part of the hype for KH3. There's a lot of players playing this game. And if you take maybe like, I don't know, let's be conservative. What? A couple hundred people who, yeah, but probably like a couple hundred people who you see consistently ranking high in all the events, who pay money and put into the game, as opposed to everybody else, that small core of people would not keep the game running without everybody else also playing the game. So it is a very much a symbiotic thing in terms of the people who pay to play the game and then the free-to-play players. And so that balance they need to work around is a delicate thing. Have they always nailed it? Hell no. No. Not in any aspect of it at all whatsoever. Like, at all. But they're trying to get a little bit better about it. You can kind of see things in the game and how they do it. And the main thrust of it for me in terms of this particular video is going to be the PvP aspect. So, we all know about Monster Sora. He single-handedly changed the game. Like, flat out. It would not surprise me that one of the banners, because, I mean, anniversary is coming up in a few weeks. They're going to want to put something on there to entice people to pull, of course, from their banners. What's the new thing going to be? What's the new, like, amazing thing? There's always going to be avatar boards they're going to come out with for that one. There will be some kind of raid event. There usually is. There'll be a few other, just like, you know, random events scattered throughout there to, you know, to do things. We might even get a high score challenge that hopefully won't be for Jules again, because that was ridiculous. So there's going to be things coming, but there's, of course, also going to be banners. One of the potential ideas for banners coming out is a reverse version of Monster Sora, which would, you know, that would make sense. That they would do a reverse version at some point in time. Or maybe they'll even do another upright version. Maybe they'll do the uprights, you know. We have the magic upright, next we'll get like the speed or the power one, and then eventually they'll move into the reverse side of it. Who knows? Or it would surprise me, but they could actually just leave it as it is right here and, like, you know, only have Monster Sora be the only one with the defense break for a while. I don't know. They can play it different ways, but one that I can see them to really get some pulls going on from all players would be to introduce a different version of the defense break medal, of course. But he single-handedly changed PvP. Many people are going to say that he wrecked PvP. And in terms of, like, going through people like a scythe through a wheat field, yeah, he definitely did that. When he first came out, if you had at least one of those guys on your Keyblade, you were pretty much guaranteed to just go. You were gonna win. Top 100 is dicey. I did manage to make top 100 without a Monster Sora of my own for, I think, the first 2 weeks it came out, and then after that, I wasn't able to do it. I was hovering in the top 200s. I did get lucky, and I pulled one Monster Sora from the Lee banner. Which was, I pulled a few times from the lead banner for, of course, the copy medal. I got him. And I actually pulled a second one from the current banner. I did 3 pulls on the current banner. And I did them off screen because I didn't do them all at once. I did them, like, you know, here and there throughout the day. And I got one from that one because it does have the increased rate up for him, which is pretty good. So I'm doing better in PvP because of that aspect, which is great. And many people have been very lucky in terms of that one I've seen so far. So that's been pretty good so far. But PvP. PvP serves a more integral function than I think some players are actually realizing up to a point. And I am going to reference Smelly Octopus's previous update video. And this is by no means me whatsoever calling out Octo for anything. Don't get me wrong at all whatsoever. He is a immensely awesome dude, and his viewpoints on the game for the majority of players is spot on, and you do well to listen to him. He does offer great advice for the casual player of this game, bar none. The only thing I kind of like, I didn't take exception, but I thought differently, like a different viewpoint, was he mentioned that PvP, like, you know, what are you really competing in PvP for? You know, because he was showing the tickets. He was showing the reward tickets. It's like, what are you really doing in PvP for? What are you competing for? And I'll even show you guys what he was talking about. And it's also Coliseum too, up to a point as well. I guess like basically like the Coliseum area. You know, what were you competing for in terms of PvP? Well, so he made reference right here. The tier 8, 7, and 6 star fairies. You know, you get like 5, 5, and 5, 5, 4, and 5. You know, that kind of thing going in there throughout the ranks, and of course it's going to decrease a bit going down. And of course the platinum tickets, right? But his main thing for the PvP aspect was, what are you really competing for in PvP? You're competing for blue fairies. I mean, it's nice that you're getting like a set amount. There's no more RNG for the blue fairies anymore. Now the RNG is strictly for the platinum tickets. But he's like, you know, what's the point of that one? And he's right up to a point. Don't get me wrong. He is right up to a point. You know, most medals that we get now in banners are 7-starred. So they're fully gilded at 7 stars, you know, and you kind of go from there, like, you know, why you need to evolve fairies. In some ways too, you are still getting 6-star versions of certain medals. Now, obviously, you're wanting things like the new KH3 Supernova medals, Young Xehanort, the Sora, the Riku, Monster Sora, Vanitas. There's like one more, isn't there? I feel like there's one more. Well, you know what I'm talking about, those medals. And they already come 7-starred, and they're tier 9s, and they're ready to go. But other medals, too, are still good medals that you may want to evolve. And every now and then, you may pull, like, a 6-star version, or you may pull, yes, like basically a 6-star version of them, and you are going to want to evolve them. I'm not saying you're going to need a whole bunch of them nowadays, because you're really not. But it is nice to be able to evolve one if you need to. Like, for instance, the problem I ran into a while ago when I was doing the lead pulls was I pulled a boosted Nominee, HD Nominee, and, you know, copy medal, you still use copy medals, but I pulled a boosted Nominee, but it was a 6-star version. And I had a 7-star version of her, but it only had paralysis and it had HP on it. So, you know, big whoop, right? So I actually fused that 7-star version into my new boosted Nominee, got ground, lucky, and I raised that one to a 7-star. Now, granted, that's for a tier 5 medal, which, you know, get that portion there, but it's that kind of thing that you still indeed use a few fairies here and there to do small things like that. So, but that's not a big thing in the game. You're not going to do that very often. That's not going to be like a very common aspect of the game. What is going to be the common aspect to the game is going to be what's in these platinum tickets right here. That's going to be important. That's going to be very important. These platinum tickets, they are going to become more important in terms of RNG, in terms of getting the tier 8, and more importantly right now, the tier 9 medals. Because if you come back over here, as soon as it wants to load, messing with my flow game, there we go. Come over here and go into PvE. I'm currently ranked 16th in Coliseum. I've kind of hit my wall, but I'll keep on trying to fill that. Maybe I can get a little higher. Maybe I can break top 10 or anything. That'd be nice. But you know, I'm not too worried, because basically the best rewards for Coliseum right now are for the top 100, and you can see that right here, top 100, first to 100. So you're gonna get 15 tier 9s, 25 tier 8s, and 30 tier 7s, and then of course you're gonna get the new AB9 SPH2 skill, which I really want, and you're gonna get one AB8 SPH2 as well. So pretty good rewards. But the biggest thing is gonna be the dual Meow Wows right here, the tier 9s, 8s, and 7s. It's getting to the point where you cannot reach certain aspects in events and quests and Coliseum unless you have evolved medals. A lot of the new medals now have the evolve function. Like pretty much anything of the new KH3 medals up to a large point right now have it where you can evolve them, and you make them stronger because you're giving them automatically an extra 2,000 in strength and defense automatically by being able to go up to 3,000 Chippendales. Which, Cena, if you're watching this, dear God, please give us a way to get more Chippendales. Please. We need Chippendales right now so badly, and more access to them. Like, you know, if we can get that event like JP has where it's every day you can get a Chippendale, that'd be great, you know, anytime now. But in order to rank in order to beat certain events, you need evolve medals now. The biggest example I have right now is the newest org event, or the new version of the org event, where you can go back there and challenge all those org events and get cool titles. Now, the titles are kind of cool, actually, don't get me wrong, but it was definitely a letdown. There were no jewels, no new medal or anything, just titles. And that was kind of a letdown, and a lot of us are really hoping that with the anniversary, they're going to give us a new org event that's going to revamp it and bring back like the jewels and a medal to get. That'd be really good. Like, you know, hopefully now, a good idea would be that, you know, when April starts anniversary, you bring in a new org event that has the KH3 org event or org medals. So now, you know, who is 4th? Shit, who's 4th? Number 4. I forget who's number 4. Off the top of my head. But if the newest event could be where it'd be KH3 org number 4. I think, what is it, Zexion? No, it's not Zexion. Is it Vexen? No, it's not Vexen. I know Lexius is 5th. Well, whatever. Whoever's number 4. That could be the new KH3 version of it, and they can reintroduce the org event that way. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be awesome. So, as an idea. But those kind of events, in order to even beat them, you're probably going to need evolved medals of some kind. You know, you can get like the KH3 Donald, Goofy, Hercules, Pete, obviously the Supernova medals are going to be available too. Sal, Mike from Monsters Inc. and everything. You're going to have a bunch of options in there for medals that you can evolve to give them Supernova and increase their strength. And if you already have a few of the Supernova medals that can be evolved, then you can increase their Supernova and increase their strength. One of the biggest ones was Riku Replica. Dude, Riku Replica. That medal, when it got its Supernova evolved ability, became a ball buster of a medal. He's doing really well right now in PvP. If you're able to evolve him. And now the new Starlight Sora, or Starlight Sora, whatever, you know what I mean, Starlight Sora, is also can do that now too. It is the upright power version of the Riku Replica medal. And it does some serious damage now with that. I mean, it goes from a times 80 damage multiplier on the Supernova to a times, I think it's 150 increase there, which is huge. I mean, it's a giant increase. And that's really cool. And you can get tier 8s. I mean, tier 8s and tier 7s drop pretty good in the platinum tickets. It's a tier 9s that are, of course, going to be the issue. But they drop really well in those events. But in order to complete those events, or maybe even complete them easier, you're going to need evolve medals. In order to get in the Coliseum right now, if you guys want to rank, I think even in the top 100 right now of Coliseum, or close around that border ranking there, you need, I'm not saying you can work around it, you need to have evolved medals with the right traits right now. You need to have air and ground, and they need to be evolved. Otherwise, you're not really going to be doing any damage at all whatsoever. And that's kind of where the game is going. So PvP, while it's not like going to be like the be, if you don't like PvP or anything, and you don't like, want to focus on it too much or anything, I get that. Believe me, I get that. It can be a hassle to go through, especially when you have 3 blades. It takes a long while to get there. You have to go through the motions and wait for all the blades to go through. Sometimes you get that point where you barely lose, and then you want to go re-challenge the person who beat you, but you can't find them again because you're still climbing through the ranks. And usually you won't see the same guy or the same people to challenge again, unless you're in like the top 50 or so, roughly thereabouts. And I get kind of frustrating. I mean, I understand the frustrations with PvP, but one thing to focus on is that you do want to at least challenge PvP so that you can at least try and get more tickets to try and pull more of those dual Meow Wows, because evolving those medals is becoming more and more important. If you want to rank in Coliseum and things like that, high score challenges, I guarantee you that in high score challenges, which I imagine that we'll see a high score challenge of some kind with Anniversary, or its equivalent, maybe like a new Hades Cup even. You're going to need evolved medals in order to get past those things, or to get a higher score. If you're going to want to rank in Coliseum to try and get a few of the rewards in Coliseum, like the new AB9 Max SPH2 or anything, you're going to need to have evolved medals to rank that a little bit higher than other players. If you want to compete more in PvP, you're going to need evolved medals, because if you go up there and you go, hey, here's my Lee copy medal, copying this medal over here, and here's this evolved version of it, copying a medal, the evolved version is going to deal a significant amount more damage. Like, the damage output overall is like easily double what a non-evolved medal of the same thing. Same traits, same skill. Like, AB8 max, and if you want to get really ambitious, the perfect Coliseum traits, like double strength, aerial, ground, EA. The one that's evolved is going to do like double the damage at minimum. Straight up. And I do include Supernova in that calculation. It's going to do double damage minimum. When I was running and I saw some Lees go off, for instance, a non-evolved Lee with those perfect Coliseum traits against a DB5 in PvP was dealing, I think it was close to, it's like between like 78 million and like 80 million damage with Supernova. Evolved, it was dealing like 150 million damage Supernova as the evolved one goes. It did that much of an increase in its Supernova multiplier. And on top of that too, if you're able to get fully chipped medallions, that extra 2,000 chipped medallions in there also had a huge increase in damage overall going through, just hitting in general, which stand to reason. So, I mean, sorry, it's got a little longer than I thought it was going to be, but I just want to get that out there. Like, I understand if you don't want to do PvP too much or anything, or if it frustrates you, or, I get that. I totally understand that, yeah. those frustrations do exist. The best thing we can do is, like, I've been relaying information. So anytime you guys meet any kind of comment down there and below in my videos or anything, I always try and relay that information up to anybody I can to try and, like, instigate changes or say, hey, these are concerns that the players are having. Maybe we could look into this, or maybe you guys want to look into this part of it, you know. And then they do kind of a few things. They have been doing things. We've noticed it, you know. A few changes have been in there. The game's been better overall than it has been in a long while, in my personal opinion. There have been things to do. There's been more content to go into, you know. Maybe it's not always like the best content you guys want to do and everything all the time, but there has been more content to do, and they're getting better about that. The daily ticket draw things was a really good idea. That's gone over very, very well. And based off the tweet that we got earlier today, it looks like that's gonna be more of a permanent thing. Like, they told you that you need to use all of your tickets by the 24th from those daily draws, and then it's gonna reset. When they said reset, it means basically, hey, you know what? We're still gonna get more of the daily tickets, and that's going to be a great thing. I really want to see that more of that. That's awesome, and we definitely need, you know, that kind of thing in the game, which is pretty cool. They're doing things that are going to go. They're going in a good way. They're still, of course, making a few mistakes. Like, again, the org event right now is one of those things. It might be like a placeholder for a new org event, but we'll see. The previous high score challenge was not a good format for the high score challenge. I don't think anybody liked that, but they're doing things and they're kind of taking steps in the right direction. And that's what I want to see in the game for the most part. You know, taking steps in the right direction for all of us. But don't sleep on PvP, guys. That's my main thing. Is like, don't sleep on PvP. Be aware that the dual Meow Wows and the evolve function is important, and it is going to be a necessary thing to go through for the game. Just like when you were able to evolve medals from a 6-star into a 7-star, people who had 7-star versions of medals were outputting way more damage than people with only the 6-star versions of at the time. Like one of the first ones that people were really scrambling to get evolved was Sora and Simba. And if you went up against a 7-star version of Sora and Simba, or like Bob and Jack, you were just dealing so much more damage than a person who only had a 6-star version of that medal. So that is kind of like the new meta thing going forward. And there are ways to get tickets. I mean, again, you can do Coliseum. Coliseum gives you set amount. You know, you can, and there's no RNG involved in it. You just rank as high as you can in Coliseum, and you're gonna get a set amount of tier 9, 8, and 7 dual Meow Wows. You do PvP, you're not gonna get the set amount, unfortunately, but you will get more tickets in which to pull, and that's where the RNG unfortunately comes in with the tickets. But you get more in there to try and get a few more ticket medals of what you need for the dual Meow Wows. Obviously, the tier 9s are what's mostly desired, but you know, you kind of go as you play there. But just don't sleep on that one, because I mean, people are getting frustrated. And one of the things that they really brought this to me was I was talking to some other people about the game, and they were getting frustrated. Like, you know, I don't even do PvP anymore. I'm like, well, why not? They're like, oh, because people have these things, and you know, I can't compete with them, or you know, and then they, from that point they went in there and they're like, oh, and I also can't do the org event now, and so this one and everything, and like that org event came out, like, you know, months ago, and by now, you know, with all the medals they've released, I should be able to take it, but I still can't beat it within the 3-turn period or anything. And I'm like, well, that's because you're not doing PvP. And he paused and was like, what do you mean? I was like, PvP has the tickets that you need to evolve the medals, and you need to evolve medals to go and beat those events, like, apparently for what you have. You know, what he had was you know, limited. What we all have is limited. And I was like, if you want to beat that, you know, I was like, for instance, I was like, if you could evolve your Starlight Sora, I was like, you'd be doing a lot more damage, and you might be able, you probably actually beat it more than likely. And he kind of paused, was like, oh, and I was like, you get that through PvP, or you get that through Coliseum. He's like, Coliseum once a month, yes. I was like, but did you really compete in PvP like the past 2 weeks or anything? He was like, well, not really. I mean, I did it a few times for dailies, but yeah, I didn't really do anything of it. I was like, well, that's why you didn't get any more tickets. Like, you got, like, I think, like 2 or 3 tickets. So I guess, like, I think he ended up having like 7 tickets overall in the past 2 weeks that he's used, and he pulled 3 tier 9s, and like he pulled 3 tier 9s, and like I think it was like 11 or 12 tier 8s, and then the tier 7s. He took the tier 8s, went and evolved that Starlight Sora, and went back into the org event and beat it. And I was like, see, I mean, this is kind of what you're doing, and that's kind of what prompted this conversation, or why I wanted this video. Is like, from what I'm hearing and seeing from players and everything, a lot of people are sleeping on PvP for the tickets in order to evolve medals. And I'm telling you, again, I understand the frustrations, but you're probably going to want to keep on at least trying PvP a little bit to rank a bit higher in PvP, just so you have a chance to get a few more tickets in order to evolve medals a little faster to do events easier. It's definitely going to make your life a lot easier in terms of doing some of those harder events. Again, Coliseum 2 is set. The only bad thing about Coliseum is that, of course, there's only once a month. So once a month, you'll get those like 15 tier 9s or anything, and sometimes it's hard to wait that long. Especially if it's right there at the beginning of the month. And you're just like, oh man, I have to wait a whole month for this. Yeah, I get that too. So PvP is really the fastest way to get those tickets. At least it's weekly, you know? But I think I've discussed this long enough. I hope it didn't go ranty. I hope not. And I hope this video is well received. I didn't mean to do this video and go, oh, you know, stop bitching about PvP, you know, just do it. Like, no, I mean, I understand why people don't like it. I get that. I really do. But PvP is a focus on the game, and people who are having problems completing certain events and or a certain quest or ranking higher in Coliseum, maybe why. If you're not doing PvP enough to try and get tickets in order to evolve things right now, that's kind of why. Like literally, in Coliseum, I'm at the point where if I'm using a non-evolved medal, it is not dealing damage. Like it's dealing 1 damage straight up. So you need those evolved medals. So, but I'm in here. I think I've gone long enough on this one. Again, I hope this is well received by you guys. I would really appreciate feedback on this viewpoint as well that I can use to gear my channel and to kind of focus things a bit more on what you guys want to see and everything on this game, and also use that information to shoot it up to Cena and try and get some change there as well for things that are like, you know, really impacting the game like that. But definitely will try to get some more feedback. And if you guys did like the video and if you guys agree with me, if you guys would click that like button, I'd really appreciate it. It helped me out a lot and it helped the channel grow a bit more. So, as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for putting up with my little rant talk. And I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good night.